I don't quite hate Ryan Reynolds. From at least as far back as 2002's Van Wilder, and probably even further, I personally haven't seen Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, for example. Reynolds has been refining a specific snark, a wit and a charm that serves him well in the roles he chooses. That he championed the Deadpool film from early test footage all the way up to 2016 release is hardly surprising. Years before the movie's conception, the character himself was styled after Reynolds' particular wit and his facial features, sort of. Like that comic book anti-hero, Reynolds trades in caustic, heavily referential humor that tries to wedge between frat house jock and deep-in-the-weeds nerd. I didn't quite hate 2021's Free Guy either. Starring Reynolds, plus Killing Eve's Jodie Comer, and some other folks hopefully paid quite a bit to deliver generally lousy material, Free Guy is pleasant enough, and it even has one or two decent stretches where its jokes manage to land. However, the movie doesn't invest enough in the mechanics of its premise to take it anywhere all that interesting. There's a feint towards a genuinely intriguing socio-political take in the third act, but that's submarined by an admittedly kind of funny CGI-heavy gag, and then some not at all funny, truly insufferable shotgun spraying of Disney intellectual property. Then the movie ends with a thud, and I landed right in the middle of not feeling like my time was all wasted, but also not having taken anything interesting from the experience. Honestly, the movie's not worth talking about much, except in so much as it relates to Ryan Reynolds' career to date. Free Guy is, I think, the apotheosis of Reynolds as an actor. It is maybe the best showcase of both the strongest version of his talents and the ultimate failures of his whole shtick. Quick rundown of the plot, so this will make sense if you either haven't seen the movie or saw it more than 2 weeks ago and thus have forgotten everything about it. Free Guy stars Ryan Reynolds as Guy, a non-playable character in a video game. Non-playable, for those of you who don't know, means that he's not a person playing a video game, he is a computer-generated character within an open-world Grand Theft Auto-style video game. His fate in life, then, is to repeatedly get on the floor during bank heists and to be generally abused while smiling genially. This apparently goes on uneventfully until Guy meets Comer's character, who uses the handle Molotov Girl. Quick side note, that is kind of, but not actually a spoiler, Comer's character is still using that very dopey screen name of Molotov Girl, even in the movie's final scene, where, for plot reasons, it makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, something about Molotov Girl, who is a real person playing the game, triggers an emotional change in heart for Guy. Rather than being content to continue on as a hapless NPC, he now wants to find and romance this woman, and to make something greater out of his life in the process. All this intersects with a half-baked video game development B-plot involving a criminally wasted Taika Waititi and Stranger Things Joe Keery, but I'm not getting into any of that because it's deeply boring and irrelevant. Reynolds himself never interacts for more than a moment with any actor in the, quote, real world of the story, except for Comer, via the video game. Guy's narrative arc is, like I said, maybe the best showcase of Reynolds as a genuinely charming leading man that I've seen. And the key to this is the character's innocence. It's simple. Guy is constructed as having the functional mind of a newborn baby. Every discovery he makes gets a reaction of genuine awe. Every utterance he makes is entirely sincere. That sincerity is at odds with Reynolds' usual winking to the degree that it's more or less absent from the film, so that when Reynolds does go for funny, he has to do it by playing some combination of straight-faced and dopey. It's essentially Will Ferrell's shtick from Elf. And there are a couple moments in this movie where it works way, way better than I would have expected it to. Removing sarcasm from Ryan Reynolds kind of humanizes him, which is ironic, I guess, given the film's premise. It makes it so much easier to root for him to get what he's looking for when he doesn't seem to be always spitting on the idea that he wouldn't just get it anyway. When Guy is given insight into his true nature as an NPC and realizes that he's not a person, it's truly moving for a moment, because Reynolds has successfully navigated making Guy silly and a bit of a dope without ever ironically spitting on the role or going too hard on the stupidity for the sake of a joke that might feel like an actor winking through the suit of a character. But it's only moving for like a moment because I'm not ultimately going to be able to invest that much in rooting for a Ryan Reynolds character. I think this film cemented for me what always itches in my mind about Reynolds' lead performances, and why, for example, I enjoyed Deadpool well enough in the moment, but not nearly enough to have ever seen the sequel. Remove his sarcasm, and Reynolds is, for lack of a better phrase, the whitest dude around. He's handsome, successful, charming, effortlessly witty. He never reads like someone who needs to come from behind, or who's going to lose. Guys like this only feel that way when they're explicitly put into a more villainous role. And that makes it clearer what the sarcasm was doing in the first place. Reynolds doesn't wink at the camera only for a simple joke. Particularly at this stage in his career, he's constantly playing up these weird self-deprecating jokes, mocking his turn in the Green Lantern film, or making jokes about how sexy he is, which I guess that is sort of self-deprecating to some degree. What it actually does is it reinforces status through a show of self-awareness. It's the live human actor equivalent of how Disney's live-action remakes are trying to reify the corporation's intellectual properties by doing half-baked revisionism on their plots, shoving awkward, ill-conceived, quote-unquote feminist notes into something like Beauty and the Beast, so that they can say, look, we're progressive, we get it, now go watch the cartoon again and also this remake, both streaming on Disney+. It is ingratiation as a means of selling a product. And in this case, the product is Ryan Reynolds. Free Guy may not explicitly have Reynolds wink to the camera and say, see, I can be a doofus who lets himself get hit by a car. Therefore, I deserve everything I have by dint of birthright and privilege. But its plot hinges on that basic mechanic, that you're going to root for a guy like Reynolds because he's the societal default of a hero. The thing is, this movie wasn't unsuccessful, and neither is Ryan Reynolds, so I guess I'm in the minority for finding this more grating than ingratiating. But even if you liked Free Guy and think Reynolds is great as Deadpool, or as Van Wilder, or as a guy who talks to The Rock in a Fast and Furious film, or as the hitman's bodyguard's wife's cousin's divorced dad's friend from college, maybe take a moment the next time you see him on screen to think about what the joke actually is when he references Green Lantern with a wink and a grin. That movie made $220 million at the box office. Just think about that for a moment. I promise, you're still allowed to laugh afterwards.